Hello Divination and welcome. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to reveal content with a shutter hover effect in Divi. This is the final result we're aiming to achieve. So without wasting a lot of time, let's dive in and let's get started. All right, so the first thing we're going to do here is to create a brand new page. So I'm going to come over here to pages and then click on add new. I'm going to give this page a name. So you can name this page whatever you want, but I'm just going to call this how to reveal content. Next, I'm going to click on Use Divi Builder. And what we're going to do here is to make things easier for us, we're going to choose a pre-made layout. So I'm going to come over here, choose pre-made layout. So what we're looking for here is the day spa layout. So I'm just going to search for it here. So the page that we need here is the landing page. So I'm just going to scroll down here and click on landing page and then click on use this layout. Right, so let's scroll down to these four blurbs. So this is what we're looking for here. So the first thing we're going to do here is to add a divider module above the blurb and then give it a color. So I'm going to come over here, click this plus button and search for my divider module. I'm going to select it and I'm going to give it a background color. So I'm going to come over here and our color here is going to be white. So I'm just going to select white. Next, I'm going to add the color of the divider. So I'm going to click here on design, color, and again, I'm going to add white to this. Now let's head over here to the divider height. So I'm going to click on sizing and we're going to set this to 100. So right now we can't see anything, but you will see the effect once all the settings are in place. So over here, the height as well needs to be set to 100. So I'm going to add that. And then finally, we're going to come over here and add our custom margin. So I'm going to click here on spacing. And I'm going to add 0 to my custom margin bottom. Right, so now we're done. I'm going to save this. And then next, we're going to add another divider. And this time, it's going to be a divider which has a different color. So I'm going to click here on this plus button and search for my divider module again. I'm going to select it. And then over here, we're going to start off with the color. So I'm going to click here on design, color. And I'm going to click here on this eyedropper tool and paste my value in here. Now, if you want to use the same values as I'm using here in this tutorial, I will leave a link to the post in the show notes below so you can copy, so you can follow this step by step. Right, so the next thing we need to do now is to add our divider weight and our divider height. So I'm just going to collapse this. So I'm going to click here on sizing. So our divider weight here needs to be 2 pixels and the divider height needs to be 2 pixels as well. And as we did before, we're going to add a custom margin of 0 to the bottom. So this needs to be on the top. So I'm just going to save this and then drag it up. So that was the white one. And then this time is the orange one. So just to see where things are, I'm holding down the command key. So as I'm holding here, I can see the boundaries of where things are. So this is the one that we created earlier on, which has a white background. And then the top one is the one in orange. All right, so moving on. So what we need to do next now is to copy these dividers onto the rest of these columns, both on the top and the bottom. But the best way to do this is to use the wireframe mode because right now it's quite tricky to make sure that everything is in the right place. So I'm going to click here on this wireframe mode. Okay, so here we go. So I just want to name these as well because right now it's quite difficult for us to see which is which. So I know the top one here is the orange one. So I'm just going to name this orange and this one here is white. Right. So I just need to flip this around. So this one here needs to be on the top. And then what I'm going to do now is to duplicate this and add it to the bottom. So this white here needs to be below the blurb. And I'm going to do the orange as well and drag this below the blurb as well. Right, so how it looks now is we have white space on the top, then we have the orange divider, and then we have our blurb, orange divider, and then white. So let's flip over here to the front view so we can see exactly what's happening. Okay, so this is how it looks. So what I'm going to do next now is to just copy or duplicate these and add them over to the rest of the columns. So I'm going to use the front view for this. So I'm going to hold down my command key. If you're on a PC, it's control. So while you're holding it down, just click like that. And then while these two are selected, you can just hit command C to copy. If you're on a PC, it's control C. And then you come over here and just paste. Do the same with the bottom and make sure they're in the right place. So once you're done, this is how it's supposed to look. So what we're going to do now is we're going to make some customizations to our blurbs. But to save us time, I'm going to do multi-select and add my settings all at the same time. So I'm going to hold on the command key and then I'm going to start selecting. So I'm going to start over here with the first one and then just go ahead and select them. So once they're all selected now, I've let go of the command key. If you're on a PC, it's the control key. Now you can go in and hit the module settings button. Right, so the first thing we're going to do here is to add some dummy text into this area here. So I'm going to add my lorem text, but in your case, you can add whatever text it is that you want to add in there. Right, so the next thing we're going to do here is to click on design and disable the image. So I'm going to come over here to my image box shadow and disable this shadow. So in order for us to add our shutter hover effect, we need to add some negative margins. So I'm going to click here on spacing and I'm going to start with my custom margin top. And we're going to add -100. So now you can see everything has been pushed up. And then we might as well add our bottom margin. So we're going to set this to -65. And then we want to come over here and add our values for the hover. So I'm going to click here on this arrow button, click on hover. And this time on hover top and bottom, we're going to set this to 0. So I'm just going to replace the -100 and -65 with zeros. Right, so check this out. If I click here on default, we see that now we have that shutter effect. And this will be happening on hover. So right now, when we take a look at this, we can see that we have quite a bit of very little space between our text and our divider line. So let's change that on hover. So I'm going to click here on this little arrow again. And this time we're going to add padding both to the top and the bottom. So now we have a bit of space between our text and our divider. So let's just do a quick preview. So now you can see that our space is evenly added. Right, so everything looks great. So I'm going to go ahead now and save. And then the next thing we need to do now is just to click away so that all our modules are not selected. So the next stage now is to go into my row settings. So I'm going to click here on row settings, design. And this time we want to equalize our column height. So I'm going to click here on sizing, equalize column height. So now you can see everything has been pushed up, which is great. The next step now is to add a bit of CSS code to align items to the center. So I'm going to click here on advanced, custom CSS, and we're going to apply this onto our main element. So if you want to use this as well in your design as you're following step by step, I'm going to leave a link to the post in the show notes below. So what the CSS code does is it will make sure that the modules stay vertically centered within the column, giving us the upward and downward shutter effect. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is to give the row a fixed height. So what this will do is it will stop the hover effect from pushing down the page content below. So we're going to start by adding a CSS ID. So I'm going to come back over here to my CSS ID and classes and add my CSS ID. And my CSS ID here is just going to be fixed height. And then all we have to do now is to add the CSS to the actual page. So I'm going to come over here and save. And then on the bottom here, we're going to click this gear icon. So this will take us to the page settings. And then we can click here on advanced, custom CSS, and this is where we're going to add the CSS. And as I mentioned before, if you want to use this CSS code, I'm going to link to the post in the show notes below. So pretty much that's all we need to do. Let's go ahead and save and do a quick preview. So I'm going to publish this page and then I'm going to exit the visual builder here. And let's scroll down to our section. So now if I mouse over this, you can see now it has the shutter effect. So there you have it. Thank you all for watching. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and do follow us on our social media platforms. By doing so, you'll be notified every time we release new tutorials. Until next time, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next video.